What I thought we would do is begin by watching me interact with the MapQuest directions site, and I'll just put in a begin point, an end point, and then show you the directions results and how I interact with them, again, using JAWS. So as you can see on the screen, we are on the MapQuest homepage. Now, screen readers provide two different pieces of functionality. One, they convey what's on the screen through Braille or speech output. We're going to be using speech output for the purposes of this demo. The second primary function a screen reader performs is to replace the mouse. So now, here we go with the demo of the MapQuest homepage. I'm going to start at the top of the page, and I could read this page one line at a time, and that would take forever to get what I'm looking for. So now I'm going to look for HTML header tags, which, as you'll see in the W3C guidelines, is a standard for making navigation of web pages more efficient for screen reader users. And I find the header tag in JAWS by using the letter H. Okay, so I found the directions header. Now I'm going to arrow one line at a time until I find the first input field. So enter the business name. I don't want to enter a business name. You can see now that I'm in the begin address input field. So I'm going to type in now, once I've typed in, I can either arrow from field to field, but that's probably not the most efficient way to do it. And I noticed in the specification that I've been reading, there's been mention of using the page up and page down keys. It's actually very simple and probably a preferred means of interaction to just tab from form element to form element on a web page. So I'm in the address field now, and I tab. And JAWS announces enter the city, so I know that's the field that has focus. I'm going to enter in Dulles for the AOL headquarters city. I'm going to enter VA for Virginia. And I'm going to enter the zip code. Again, all by tabbing. So now we're entering the endpoint. I don't want to enter a business, so I'm going to continue to tab. And now I've tabbed to the Get Directions button. I simply hit the Enter key. And now the page will load. And so now, since JAWS started reading again, I believe the new page is loaded. And so at this point, I can navigate by header tags. Okay, so I found a header that says I couldn't find the exact search. I'm going to arrow down from this point. And that's as good as address as any. I'll click that link, and now the page will load. So there's a few things that I want to point out here. One is, I think for the accessible walking directions with the web app that we're looking for, mirroring this interface as closely as we can in terms of how information is entered and accessed is probably the most familiar to the end audience, the target audience that we're trying to reach. And now at this point, I will try to find with the screen reader the actual list of directions. And I'm going to do a find function in JAWS just to save time. And I know that MapQuest directions begin usually with the word start. And now I can just read this one line at a time. Okay, and so on and so on. So for the points of interest, if we were going to include this, if we were doing, these are driving directions that we happen to be looking at here, but assuming these were walking directions, you might have links that would say points of interest for each little entry of directions that the MapQuest API would generate for you. On the Sensations homepage, there's a blog post that I did a while back that Dennis Horrigan over at Topcoder posted that talks about the Access JavaScript library, AXS. And Access, developed by Chris Blauk in the accessibility office here at AOL, allows us, among other things, to equip web applications with keyboard shortcuts so that we can invoke functionality very quickly and minimize the amount of hunting around that I, as a blind user, need to do, that you saw me do when looking up directions in the MapQuest page. Of course, the accessible walking directions is going to be something that we want to make available and make as easy to use as possible for someone who's blind. So the more we can use keyboard access to invoke core functionality, the better. On each page, we surface a keyboard shortcut menu. Visually, I believe somewhere on the page you can actually see the fact that there is a link for accessible keyboard action. To save time, I'm just going to use a keyboard command Control-Alt-H. And now you should see that a table of shortcuts has appeared. I'm going to arrow down to review that table. So now I know that I'm in the keyboard shortcut table, or soon will be. Okay, now we're in the table and I can navigate. So Control-Alt+N is the way to compose mail, and we can look down that table even further. Hitting Control-Alt-H again will hide the keyboard table. And now if I want to go check email, I can just hit Control-Alt-M, and it's very easy to access email. So I didn't have to go hunt for the new mail link, etc. If I want to compose, here you'll see in this inbox that there is a compose button somewhere on the screen. I would have to hunt around like you saw me do in MapQuest with JAWS to find it. I know the keyboard shortcut is Alt-Control-N. I quickly do that, and the compose mail form loads. So you can see how keyboard shortcuts make it very fast for me to interact with a web application like a webmail app. In the case of our accessible walking directions, the more efficient we can be, the more likely this application will be used. So where there are common pieces of functionality, where you're going to maybe hide points of interest or display them, that would be a good feature or button to attach a keyboard shortcut to. Beyond identifying where to attach keyboard shortcuts, the most important thing to keep in mind is an accessible web interface. And you can find that information, again, on the W3C website. You can also find it through the Sensations Accessibility Topic Center on the Developer Network from AOL at dev.aol.com, and you can click on the Accessibility Topic Center. We have our best practices there for you to follow. Same thing with the Access Library. That information is available at dev.aol.com/AXS.